You can move his stance. When you turn, you can actually move his stance. So you're not relying on pain. You can even do double hits. Slow. I went 1, 2, and hit, right? Hi guys, welcome to this episode of Kung Fu Report, where we talk about classical Kung Fu and its application. Today we're going to talk about this simple movement in the wooden dummy form, which is the just out and a low line hit. What is that used for? What is the application? How do you enhance the power? And in my opinion, sometimes the application is misinterpreted. So I would like to study that in depth today. See you when you get back. All right, so this movement, the just out and the palm. A lot of the strikes in the wooden dummy and the low line shots are palm strike to the wooden dummy. One of the main reasons is historically, the wooden dummy was not padded. If you punch it hard as you can, most people will break their hand. That's why we palm strike the wooden dummy. And also, second thing is, when you just out and palm, you can take it literally. So the application is, when a punch is coming, you just out and palm strike. But that would be the wrong way to look at it, because Wing Chun is principle based and not literal, just like in level 1 and 2, right? If you take it from a principle based point of view, then this idea is any Wing Chun hand, parallel or crossing, Pak Sao, Just Sao, Bu Sao, Lan Sao, Bong Sao, it doesn't matter. Any Wing Chun hand, you should be able to hit low at will, because the guy might be so tall, you can't get a good high shot, right? And the third thing is, you want to be able to enhance power. So when we get back, I'm going to demonstrate with Chris how to do these things. Right, Chris, sir, please come in. So this low line strike, right? Palm strike. That's because the wooden dummy is not padded, you'll break your hand, but in application it's actually not true. If I got Chris here, for example, right, and I'm palm striking him, if you slap the guy not doing Wing Chun, that's fine. But if you're doing Wing Chun, you're going straight with a palm, I got good support here. My bones lined up to my elbow, my stance. I got good support here. So if I palm strike here in a spleen, it's fine. But if Chris just turns a little bit, I break my wrist. I don't know if you can see it from this angle, but this will buckle. It doesn't matter how much hand conditioning you do, how strong your wrist is, these bones are really small. If you hit a guy with your full body, weight hard as you can, he turns a little bit, even half an inch like this, he breaks my wrist. So palming on a wooden dummy is fine. Palming on a human's not, because you can't stop a guy from moving a little bit in a fight, right? Punching is actually much safer for the body shot. If I push here, I'm fine. If Chris turns a little bit, at the worst, I'll just miss, but I won't break my wrist. The opposite is true for the head. When you punch a guy in the head, it's great. But if you bend down a little bit, a hard bone like the forehead, it breaks my fist. Unless I do a lot of iron hand training, right? Palm strike's different. If I palm strike the head, it's fine. If it goes down, my hand is safe. So you palm the head and punch the body for people that are not well conditioned. But even if you're well conditioned, you should be punching the body and not palming the head. That's the first thing about the wooden dummy you should know about in terms of the form. Second thing, just so and punch is not a direct application. It can be done with any Wing Chun hands. Like a Chris is punching. The Pak Sao can be done with a low line shot, right? Or any crossing technique like the Wu Sao can be done with that low line shot like I just did. But the difference between a high line entry and a low line entry is, in a high line entry, I got two hands on one. See, Pak Sao and hit. That means if the Pak Sao misses, it doesn't matter. This hand will take over. Likewise with a crossing technique, I got two hands on one. Therefore, if I miss with the block, it's okay. This hand will take over. Low line shot is the opposite. If I miss with the block, I get punched in the face. So low line shots are not very safe. What that means is you should be moving your head and squatting down, like a boxer. But usually when a Wing Chun man slip with his head or squat down, automatically people say that's not Wing Chun. That's actually not true, because in the third form in this movement is already telling you to move your head if you have to. And in a 6.5 point pull, squatting stance is really important. So at the higher levels of Wing Chun, in level 3 and 5, these movements are in there. In other words, I should be moving my head a little bit and ducking down a little bit. That way, if I miss with the block, like I just did on purpose, when I miss, I don't get hit. But it doesn't work on crossing. If I try to move my head away and do this, I'm off balance. So in crossing techniques, you have to actually step in it. So when I hit low, and I shouldn't be palming, but I'm doing it so it doesn't hurt Chris, then I want to make sure I'm sidestepping a bit. So that's one more thing you want to take into account. Why should you practice low line shot even though it's heavily neglected? Most Wing Chun you see people are headhunting. The reason is Wing Chun was invented in Fasan, China, where most people was born and raised there and usually stay there till the day they die, right? Because back in the day, unless they're very rich, they don't have money to have a horse to leave the area they're from. So it was basically little Chinese guys around my size fighting little Chinese guys. So there's no point hitting the body, because if you got good Wing Chun, you can just dominate the upper gate. But nowadays, like me in Canada, most people are taller and bigger than me. So you can't always rely on a headshot. Chris is not that much taller than me, so it's okay, but a lot of people are. So nowadays, you have to train on low line shots. And when you train on low line shots, you can't force the palm like that, because if Chris turns, he breaks my wrist. So you gotta learn how to hit and be safe by moving your head. But what the wooden W does is it teaches you how to get power. Like if I hit Chris like this, and I'm gonna hit a little lower, 10 set Chris, I won't use a lot of power, there's not much power there. So you gotta, by using the dummy the way it is, if you learn to compress, I go very light now, from here, you get a lot of power just a very short. You can move his stance. When you turn, you can actually move his stance. So you're not relying on pain. You can even do double hits. Slow. I went 1, 2, and hit, right? Or, one more, sorry, Chris. You can actually put them in combinations in a way that you hit them into the second shot, right? So all these things are studied in the one day. If you're interested, please join the full immersion program at adamchankungfu.com. See you next time.